say definitively that religions are all bullshit.
Welcome to Brainstorm.
We have the explicit tag for a reason.
This is a base level argument to a higher level of morality.
I get paid to science?
To science as much as one can science.
What the hell was my point?
Trigger warning. The Brainstorm podcast will criticize your most cherished beliefs. We attack nonsense in all its forms and discuss difficult subjects. If you peddle pseudoscience, supernatural woo, or religious dogma, then this is not your safe place. This is the home of hardcore skepticism.
All right. Hi, and welcome to the Brainstorm Podcast Skeptic Studio, where we do interviews, major topics, and news related to skepticism and atheism. I'm Corey, and my panel tonight are Destin.
Hey.
Renee. Hello. Angela.
Hello.
And Bassett.
Hello.
With our guest host, Idella.
Hi.
And the always amazing Dave.
The always amazed.
The always amazed Dave.
I'm amazed by you, Corey.
Dave.
His Holiness, the sound guy. Mm-hmm.
We're here in Roman Empire Studios in Regina, Saskatchewan, and today is September 29th, 2017. Our guest tonight is fellow Canadian podcaster Deborah Mctaggart, a.k.a. Heretic Woman, host of the Beyond the Trailer Park podcast. Hi, yes. Deborah.
Hello. All the way from not Canada.
Yeah, that's right. We caught up with a Canadian podcaster while you were down south, eh?
That's right, eh?
I have to say a boot a lot.
Yeah, I know. Well, actually, it's funny. I just got back from Newfoundland, so there's lots of boots out there.
Oh, I bet. That's awesome.
Never been, so that was an experience.
I bet.
Is that where you get screeched in?
I didn't, but yes, that's where you do it. We were on a motorcycle and we were driving like 7 hours a day, so we didn't do much drinking.
Wow.
We did pretty much all of the island that you could easily drive to.
Wow.
Nice.
It's a pretty big rock, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is. And we went all the way to the northern tip, Lanso Meadow, where Leif Erikson claimed some land.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we saw the recreated Viking settlement out there, which was pretty impressive.
That is cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, yeah, fuck you, Columbus.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Nice. So I guess a good place to start is with your atheist origin story. How did you join the atheist club?
I was raised in the United Church of Canada, which, as you may or may not know, is probably the most liberal church on the planet as far as Christianity goes. And, we had female pastors. I think they started with female pastors in the 1930s. So, and they were the first to embrace LGBT pastors and marriage equality. And so pretty progressive. But as you all know, we do a lot of stupid things when we're teenagers. And my stupid thing to do when I was 13 was get convinced by a friend to join a Calvinist sect. So,
nice. Interesting.
So, recommend it, but so I turned from, your sort of clouds and rainbows sort of happy Christian to telling my, 7-year-old brother, if you don't repent, you're going to go to hell.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah.
It's a bit of a 180.
Just a little bit. So I just a tad. And so I went full on fundy for a few years. But I've always been a student of history my whole life. Like, I love history. And I always took lots of history in school. And so learning world history over the years, and specifically learning about the Greek and Roman pantheon and indigenous religions, I kind of went, hey, you know, as we learn things like where lightning comes from and why we get diseases and things like that, all these old religions have become obsolete and nobody believes them anymore. And then I looked at the indigenous faiths, where they were pretty open about, you know, these are stories that we use to explain things that we really don't understand. Like the one that always sticks in my mind is a chipmunk has stripes on its back because it was running away from a bear and a bear like scratched it down its back, like things like that. And so at the same time, I was kind of a bad Calvinist because I wasn't supposed to date outside the church, but I did. And my boyfriend was nominally Lutheran, but he was a scientist. Like, even when we were like 17 and 16, he later became a physics engineer. So he's a science guy. And he was curious about this faith that I had. And so, and I've always been a debate junkie. So we would debate religion. Like, I debated other stuff in school and whatnot. And I like to think I'm a pretty decent debater. But I found debating him on religion, I could never win. Like, ever. And I was like, why is this?
There's got to be a reason,
hey? That together with, yes. And you put that together with, you know, studying history and learning that, you know, all these old ancient religions have died out. Nobody believes them. Well, that's not true. There are people that still believe in the Greek and Roman pantheon, but, you know, it for all intents and purposes died out. And I kind of went one day, I was about 17 years old, and I just kind of, light bulb went off, and I was, shit, that's the thing that makes sense. There's no fucking God. And the funny part is so I'm 17, and you know how 17-year-old brains work. I'm like, I've made this incredible discovery that no one else knows, you know? So I'm like, oh, I have to tell everyone they can stop with all this religious shit. There's no, like, I honestly thought that I had made some, like, incredible discovery that nobody knew. Because, like, you guys know, living in Canada, nobody talks about, you know, what's your religion. It's not.
Doesn't come up.
No, it's not a thing. So I had grown up in this sort of bubble with, you know, just people who are all Christians, and I probably came across an atheist and just didn't know it. I don't know. But
where did you grow up?
I'm like in the Stratford area of Ontario. So that's a couple hours outside of Toronto. So, and I was country girl, farm. I come from a very, very long line of rednecks.
Nice.
Traced it all the way back to 18th century Scotland on multiple lines of the family tree. So lots of rednecks. But here I am, you know, I'm thinking I have this eureka moment. I've got to tell everybody. You can imagine how disappointed I was when I found out no one wanted to know this.
Yeah. Kind of got
like,
the be quiet, hey?
But, yeah. But by and large, though, it really wasn't a huge deal. And it was kind of, the timing was actually really, really good, because I ended up going to university shortly thereafter. So I actually, without planning to, it just coincided with making a clean break from everything in my life. So I left, you know, moved out away from my family. I had left all of my friends, and I actually had, it was weird, I had two groups of friends in high school. I had all my Bible thumpy, you know, religious wingnut friends. And then I actually had a group of friends that were like all of the misfits that like did drugs and got pregnant. So
that's totally how it was for me too.
Yeah. It's weird. I don't know how that works, but I don't know. Maybe I thought I could save them at the time. I don't remember. but Who knows? I don't remember preaching to them now. I don't know. But
I totally did.
Did you?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I was more intent on preaching to my 7-year-old brother. I don't know why, but
Because he still had hope.
maybe I thought I could convince him because he was little. I don't know.
He couldn't get away from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Easy target.
Yeah, I was 6 years older than him, so yeah, I was kind of an easy target. And the sects that I belonged to, they taught things like, we're all, all of us in because got the right God and the right dogma, we're going to go to heaven. But if you bring more people in, you get a special crown when you go to heaven and all these extra words.
Well, you got to get the crown.
Yeah.
What's the point of heaven without the crown?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get the crown.
It's like multi-level marketing.
Yeah, that's right. It's the diamond level.
Well, I went away to school and I made a clean break. And, I'm in university. Nobody gives a fuck what you believe in university. We were all just trying to, first time away from home when it was frosh. We're all just trying to figure out what the fuck we were doing anyway. So it was never a thing. And I never hid it. I never was afraid to talk about it, but it just was never a thing. And it's funny, I was an atheist for a good 17 years before I ever got into any sort of activism at all, because it just didn't come up. And it's funny, I've watched lots of lectures from them, but I've never read Dawkins or Hitchens or Dennett or Harris or any of those guys. I've never read a single. I actually own several Dawkins books. They're just in this huge stack of things to read. So.
I'll get to them eventually.
They're good reads.
Yeah. Oh, I've listened to quite a number of his lectures, and I do enjoy hearing him speak. And I did see him in Toronto. So, yeah. But I always love that because you get, the theists. It's like, oh, you atheists, you all worship Dawkins. I'm like, never read him. What?
Yeah.
But yeah, and so it was just never a thing. So I got off really, really easy because I know one of the other girls that because this girl that I went to school with, she kind of got several of our circle of friends to join her sect. And I know one of the girls that didn't want to do it anymore, she actually did get harassed a bit by some of the elders. And I mean, we're talking a 18-year-old kid. And they were like, why don't you come anymore? And blah, blah, blah. So I got lucky.
Wow.
Totally. So, and then I've been a loudmouth firebrand ever since.
Perfect.
When did you get into atheist activism?
Well, I kind of brushed with it a little bit about 10 years ago. I'd been laid off, and so I had extra time on my hands. And I started watching CNN. And this is even 10 years ago. And I was like, what the fuck is with all this religion on CNN? Because I was watching it whenever I was home a hell of a lot more than usual. I was like, I'm really getting annoyed by this. And I was like, I need to yell at some goddamn Christians. And then I realized I have this thing called the internet. So this is before Facebook, so before Twitter, before MySpace even. So I joined a Yahoo group. Guys remember those?
Nice. Yeah.
And the group actually still exists, and it is run by this fundy nut job from Indiana, and it's called Real Abortion Debate. But they debated anything. And the thing is, it was basically a no-rules group. The owner would have hissy fits and ban people and, all that kinds of drama and shit. But really, they didn't get too pissed off if you swore and stuff. So it was great for me. and I really kind of cut my teeth in there because the other thing is, a lot of theists have this assumption that, if you're an atheist, you worship evolution. I didn't even know the theory of evolution. For the entire 17 years I was an atheist before I joined that group. like, I'd heard of it. I'm not a science person. I'm a history person. So I got my one high school credit that I had to have, and then I was like, fuck science. I appreciate people like, you know, Lawrence Krauss and Neil deGrasse Tyson. I appreciate them. I've met, you know, Lawrence Krauss like 3 times now.
Nice.
Great guy, smart as hell. I don't understand a fucking thing he says, but that's okay. But, you know, I never knew anything about evolution. And the funny, when I got into this group, they realized I didn't know anything about evolution. So they thought, ooh, we got a live one. And they tried to spring intelligent design on me. So, and I didn't know. I'd never heard of intelligent design. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And so I'm reading it and I'm like, okay, well, first blush, I mean, okay, maybe there's something, but I don't think so. It doesn't sound right. And then I did the research and went, oh, fuck that. What is this crazy ass shit? And I educated myself about evolution to the point, because they would throw out things like irreducible complexity and, you know, all the buzzwords. And so I would learn why those are bullshit. And now I've got to how I can tell somebody that, you know, irreducible complexity is bullshit. And if you tell me about a bacterial flagellum, I can tell you why that doesn't work, because I went and read it, which they didn't like that very much. So that was sort of, it wasn't really activism per se. It was sort of, I think of it as like training, I guess. But
fair enough.
And I went back to work. I didn't have time for that, so it kind of lapsed. But about 3 years, oh gosh, I guess it's almost 4 years ago now, I got laid off again. And so then I joined Twitter.
That was a mistake.
I know. And I got that old, like, back for debating Christians, because I'm a debate junkie. I love it. So I hadn't done it, you know, since like 2007. So this was like 2013. So I got back at it and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And I discovered podcasts, because I have had a BlackBerry most of my cell phone life, and BlackBerries had shitty podcast catchers for the longest time. So I didn't know what a podcast was until I got a BlackBerry that actually had a podcast catcher on it. I was like, what the hell is this podcast thing? And that's when I discovered, and they didn't have any of the really popular podcasts on it. It was the very first one I ever listened to was called The Angry Atheist.
Okay.
And that was hosted by a fellow named Reet Payton, who is now involved with Satanic Temple. So that was kind of cool. He did a good job back then. And the other one I really liked at the time was called Irreligiosity. They were kind of scathing atheist-ish, like on that sort of edge. Like they did a bit called Skunk Dick of the Week and stuff. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I used to listen to them.
Yeah, so you're familiar. But it was when I discovered Atheists on Air, the original show, that really, you know, that Cash and Professor Steven were just amazing. And I always listened to them. And they always had the chat room. And I ended up meeting all kinds of people in the Atheists on Air chat room, most of whom are very, very good friends of mine now. And when it became apparent that Cash wasn't going to be able to keep up the show, some of my friends, one of whom is my original co-host, Beth, we kind of went, well, you know, people are like, damn, that's like the only bit of sanity we get every week. So we thought, well, you know, if Cash can't do something, we can. So we just decided, what the hell, we'll just start doing live hangouts, and
that was one of Cash's things. Hey, he always got other people to start podcasting. He always promoted that idea.
Absolutely. So we, and he very, very graciously allowed us to use the name, and we became a spinoff. And even he even let us use his own Spreaker account to begin with. Like, you know, we didn't we didn't have money for stuff, and he was just like, no, here, I'll create a sub show and you just use us and you go for it.
Wow.
Absolutely. And that's going to be 3 years ago next month.
Nice.
Yeah. So Beth and I started. Our good friend Dave Foda kind of helped with getting things rolling. He prefers not to do podcasting full time, but he's like our most common, the guest we've had on the most.
Right.
So, but he says he prefers to freelance, is the way he puts it. But he was definitely instrumental in helping us get going. And we had Miss Ashley with us for a while until her work got to be too much for her to juggle more than one show.
Right.
But now we have Morgan Stringer, who used to be on No Religion Required, and Tracy Richardson, who goes by Godless Mama, and she's been blogging for several years. So, yeah, as for
is that okay? There's Godless Mama, and is there another Godless Mom, or is there? Oh, did we get locked up?
No, that's just how she is.
Just frozen.
Yeah.
We might have to disconnect and reconnect.
I can be your guest for now. Thanks for having me on the show.
Always lovely voice.
No,
Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Dave?
In this office.
Super sweet.
How about you, Angela?
Probably in this boardroom.
I hope so.
100 pounds lighter.
That's the spirit.
Oh.
Way musclier.
Musclier?
Uh-huh.
Dynamic English.
So many squats.
I like squats.
So how about that atheism?
You
So
betcha
great.
atheising all the time.
Such atheist. Much
Atheist
godless.
called
Too many white dudes, though.
Sorry.
Too many sexual predator white dudes.
That's you know, you're supposed to say that's funny because it's true,
Yeah.
but that's not funny because it's true.
Yeah.
The atheism is a bit too rapey right now. A little too sexual harassing.
Atheism itself isn't.
Just
Well,
don't
yeah,
admit.
the position of atheism isn't.
Well,
the
that's
community is.
That's my problem. The whole community thing. That's why I don't participate.
You're too cool.
Can someone kind of bring me to light what's going on?
Bassett doesn't know.
Any community that starts around one thing devolves into being about a bunch of other things that have nothing to do with the original meaning of the community.
So, like everything?
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, we lost you.
There we go. I don't know what happened there. I'm talking away, and I'm like, wait a minute, they're not moving.
Yeah.
What I was saying is there's Godless Mom and then Godless Mama.
There are two. Okay.
So there are two. So my co-host is Godless Mama, and she's from Maine. Godless Mom, I believe, is from Calgary.
Right.
Yeah.
And she does a show as well, but a different show.
Yep.
Okay. I wasn't aware of podcasting. That's good though. I'm glad she is.
She is. I can't remember.
We need more lady podcasters.
Heck yeah, we do.
Pardon?
Heck yeah, we do.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, so as they say, the rest is kind of history.
So here you are. How many episodes have you done of your current podcast?
Main episodes this week is 127, but we've also done 4 specials as well.
Nice.
2 of which were David Silverman and him at Meta, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
How many babies do you eat?
Yeah, at least 6 a day, man. You know, it's a bad habit.
So the average.
How do you like to prepare your baby?
I don't know. Barbecue is generally best. Although, the a casserole once in a while.
Little baby casserole.
And I'm down in Milwaukee. When I'm going to be going out after we're done, I'm going to have to go searching for some Merkin babies, I guess.
Yeah, little different flavor.
I used to like them steamed, but there's too much screaming.
It's like lobsters, right?
Yeah. You have to hold the pot lid down.
Or you got some mild cannibalism
I've
going
just
on in
come
this room?
full circle.
What's an atheist? Because you swear. But it's healthy because we steam them.
The health enthusiasts out there.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
We're completely normal, right? Yeah.
It's better than Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, jeez.
Steamed vaginas. Yeah. Jade eggs up your hoo-ha.
Bet you
Another
can't
way
eat
to
just
eat her
one.
out.
Bet you can't eat just one. No. When they're steamed like that. Just delicately seasoned.
You're the one that makes me come on this damn show.
Guess Team Vaginas can make anyone come on this show.
Team vagina. Oh, fist bump shared.
What happens if you eat deviled eggs?
Say that again?
What if you use deviled eggs? What happens if you use deviled eggs?
Instead of the jade ones.
Oh.
That... No.
Yeah.
I don't think I could let a good deviled egg go to waste by shoving it up my vagina. Those are too tasty.
Why are they even called deviled eggs?
I forget. There was. I just learned about that.
If you think about it, it's not a new thing. Like, it came from a pretty religious time, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is a great looking egg.
Mayonnaise. It's mayonnaise. It does it.
Oh. Let's give it something satanic. It's a deviled egg. Yeah. Thank you, Lord, for this deviled egg.
To the devil over your eggs.
Yeah.
I don't think you can steam those either.
No way.
And we can steam many other things, apparently. Creativity does not stop at steaming, I guess.
No.
So you're in Milwaukee at the much contested conference. So what are your thoughts on the conference and the guest speakers and whatnot?
Well, first of all, they actually had absolutely zero with me wanting to come here,
right?
Which is kind of ironic. And unfortunately now most of the reasons why I did want to come to the conference, they've pulled out.
Right.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, but what are you going to do? I was a little, I don't know. I wasn't sure what to think at first because I don't really know a lot about Sargon of Akkad at all.
Right.
I've seen the odd video and kind of went, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
And that was about the extent of it. And same with Shion had. I have watched some of Armored Skeptic's videos, but mostly his skeptic videos. Once he got into the other stuff, I again kind of went, yeah, okay, buddy. So like I said, they had absolutely zero to do with me wanting to come. But, at first I was kind of like, okay, guys, like, people disagree with each other and, that there's really nothing wrong with disagreeing with each other per se. And especially when they were going to have, Thomas Smith is going to be there to challenge Sargon. It's not like he's just getting up and saying whatever the hell he wants. He's being challenged. And so I thought that was a valuable thing. If he has that horrible of ideas, having him challenged in public is a good thing.
Right.
then I found out that he was tweeting horrible things to rape victims.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've not seen this, but people that I trust have, so take that for how you will. But apparently, he got into a tweet war with a feminist who was a known rape victim, and he told her, "I wouldn't even rape you."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's awful.
And apparently he's said other horrible things too. I don't know. But at that point I was just like, okay. that kind of goes over a line. And,
it definitely crosses some lines anyway.
Yeah. And we actually had the Mythicist guys on the show long before the shitstorm ever started. And that's when I heard about the conference and looked up who was going to be going and kind of like, woo, that looks like fun. And, you know, and at the time, I didn't have any problems with them at all. They seemed like pretty good guys. But I don't know if you guys have heard the interview that Callie Wright did with them.
I just listened to it this morning.
How was it?
Yeah.
It's filled with a lot of defensive posturing, like, basically. From my perspective, it seemed very disingenuous, like, oh, but they're popular, so of course we're going to invite them. And
yeah, and on some level, if it was just bad ideas, I could see that.
Right.
You know, and Richard Carrier actually wrote a very good couple of articles about it, actually. And he kind of said the same thing, like, you know, if it's bad ideas, let's get them out and challenge them publicly and expose them for being bad ideas. But that was before some other stuff came to light, so I don't know if he's changed his mind on that or not, but I certainly did. And,
right.
And, like, I only listened to that, like, a couple of days ago, whenever it came out. And that kind of made me go, whoa. Because Callie said, you know, where, you know, if he's out there saying horrible things like that to rape victims, why is that not a line? And they really didn't have a very good answer to that, to me. But then yesterday, or was it this morning? I've been up for like 30 hours or something.
The Amos Yee announcements?
Yeah. Now, only thing I know about that guy is that he was thrown in jail for a while for blasphemy or something.
Right.
That's the only thing I know about him. But apparently, and I have not been able to verify this myself, but apparently he said same sort of things that Milo Yiannopoulos said about pedophilia. So, like, it's okay and stuff. I have no idea, not seen it. But if that's true, like, holy fuck, people, really?
Mm-hmm.
As of this afternoon, Mythicist Milwaukee retracted their invitation to Amos Yee because they approached him about his child porn comments, and he wouldn't retract them, or so they were like, well, we can't support that. That's definitely crossing our line.
So they have a line?
They have a line.
They found a line. Okay, that's good.
They found where their line was.
Okay, we're in some crazy shit, but yeah.
Yeah. Like,
can't do that.
You know, that's okay, there's the line. Yeah.
That was my first thought, was like, okay, so that's where their line is. Like, everybody has their line, and some of us are over here and some of us are over there, and that's where theirs is.
Yeah. Yeah. But that whole thing just kind of made me go, But, I mean, I bought my ticket weeks ago. I booked flights and everything weeks ago. So I'm like, well, I'm fucking going.
Yeah, I've talked to people who bought their tickets last year after the conference from last year, because last year's was really good.
Yep.
And they didn't expect this kind of lineup, but they're going anyway because they bought their ticket and they had their plane ticket, and I can't fault them.
It could still be good.
At this point, you can just embrace the chaos and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And Now, my main draw now, because I was looking forward to seeing Aaron Ra and Seth Andrews again, and Ethan Eli and all of that, and none of those folks are going anymore, and I completely understand why they don't want to.
Yeah.
Totally get that. Not faulting them for that at all. It's just kind of disappointing for me, but
right. But Matt's still going, right? He's still going to be there.
Yes. He's still on the page. I've got to the point where I'm going to the guest page and refreshing it every day.
Yeah, I got to double check.
Actually going to be there. In fact, one of my main things I wanted to see was Ron Miscavige.
Oh yeah.
We follow Scientology pretty closely. We've done 5 shows on it. We have several ex-Scientology friends of the show that do the Scientology shows with us.
Right.
So that's pretty topical for us. So I was really excited about getting to hear him and meet him and stuff. So
yeah, I've heard his story on a couple of shows as well. It's a compelling story.
It is. It absolutely is. And last night, so originally they had Ron Miscavige. They have a page that was special guests because they invited a lot of prominent people to come for the movie premiere that they're having. And he was on that page. And then I realized that he wasn't on that page anymore. It's oh, fuck, not him too. But he's still listed on the schedule. So I'm okay. But I have other friends that are going. I'm going to go hang out with Bryce Blankenagel later. He's a good friend of the show, and we enjoy hanging out. We partied a bit at ReasonCon, but apparently we're going to go out and roam around Milwaukee tonight. So
that's the spirit.
Find it. But we're going to go baby hunting, right?
That's right. You got to have breakfast tomorrow.
Some deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs.
So yeah, I'm just going to go and see what happens. And yes, I'll probably go listen to those folks. Now I'm curious to see what Thomas is going to do.
Yeah. That's probably going to be the highlight, is the way he handles Sargon.
Yeah. Yeah. I've not really formally met him, but he was at ReasonCon, and I got to see him perform God Awful Movies. Well, I actually, it's funny, I didn't actually see God Awful Movies in person because Dave Foda, he couldn't come to the conference, but he did make it up to have dinner with us, so I went to see him instead. But I did, because I bought the video package, I got to watch it later. So, and Thomas is a pretty quick wit there too. So,
yeah, we've had him on our show, and he's a smart guy.
Yeah. Well, he is. If he's hanging out with Andrew Torres, he's got to be smart.
Right. The most reasonable guy in atheism.
Yes, for sure. I've had the pleasure. I don't know if you guys know, I actually do another show called Holy Crap, the vlogcast.
I haven't watched that or listened to it yet, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. My friend Shujin Tribble hosts that, and we're a panel. So there's, depending on who's free, we usually have about 6 or 8 of us a week.
Nice.
And we're international. Well, actually, my one friend, he's from London, Ontario. He's been living in Paris, France for the last 25 years.
Oh, geez.
So he chimes in from France. He gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do the show with us.
Wow.
Well, yeah, Shujin wanted to compete with Coast to Coast Radio, so the show is on at 12:05 midnight.
Nice.
Somebody's got to put something up next to all that woo shit. So, yeah. So, that keeps me busy. Well, I'll be missing it tomorrow night because I'll be busy. But yeah, that's my other gig.
You go to quite a few conferences every year,
Try to, yeah. I usually do 2 or 3. So, it depends. So, they've now decided ReasonCon's going to be every other year. I think, and that's fair because it's tough to put all of that together. I mean, Jean and Chastity do that with a very small group of people, so it's not an easy task. And finding compelling people, as we've seen, finding compelling people is a challenge. So, and then there's, so last year I went to the first NanoCon, which was awesome. And I did Reason Rally, and they didn't do Reason Con. So I just did the two. This year, though, I did Reason Con, and Imagine No Religion was in Toronto. So I did that and this one. And I didn't do NanoCon. Now I'm kind of wishing I did NanoCon instead, but, you know, hindsight 2020.
Yeah, exactly.
All I know is I see all the pictures from all the conferences from everybody, and I just go, geez, it'd be nice to live somewhere that didn't suck.
Yeah. I gotta tell you, I went to school with a girl who was originally from Ontario, but her father was a professor, and he took a job at the University of Saskatchewan. And she had moved to Saskatoon. And so she came back we went to University of Waterloo, so she came back home basically for school. And I remember her talking about, she's like, there's nothing there.
Well, and we're in Regina. Saskatoon's like twice as big.
Twice as fun, too.
Yeah. Saskatoon's more scenic.
That's true.
Harsh words.
I have to say, I've never been west. Like, I've never set foot out of Ontario in the west.
Interesting.
So I have no idea, but I hear it's just flat. Like, there's just nothing.
Now, is that because you're from Ontario and you just assume that you are all of Canada?
No.
It's already mine. I am there.
I mean, Ontario and Quebec, right? That's the Canada.
Yeah.
Upper and lower.
Actually, I fell in love with Newfoundland. If they didn't have the sucky-ass winter, I would move there.
Oh, you think their
winter's
bad?
But I hate winter, so no.
I used to live there, and I remember I went to school in my school on Friday one year, and then that following Monday I had to go to a different school because the 7 feet of snow we got over the weekend collapsed the roof of my school.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Just Newfoundland things.
Yeah. Well, no, I heard some stories about, we were stuck in the house for 3 days until we could dig the door out to get out.
Yeah, that happens. See, they get the snow, we get the cold.
Right.
Yeah.
Winnipeg's actually the coldest place in the country, though.
Really?
Yeah, Winnipeg and north of Winnipeg.
Black holes are cold like that.
I like Winnipeg. I'm the one dissenting opinion. I like Winnipeg, and I like the city that I currently live in.
Me and Stephanie drove through Winnipeg this summer.
As fast as you could.
Well, no, we couldn't get out. It was like, every time we took a turn, it took us deeper into the maze.
Oh, no. Well, see, I don't know what it is, but I've traveled east all over the place. Like, I've been, the only state in eastern U.S. that I have not been to now is Rhode Island. That's it. I've been into all of them, like, right now I'm in Wisconsin, so from Wisconsin to the east, I've pretty much been in all of them. And I've never, ever been west, even in my own damn country. I don't know what it is.
Winnipeg is like Belleville with 800,000 people in it.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's Winnipeg.
Although I just drove through Windsor this morning, and that's not terribly pretty either.
Belleville is like the redneck hub.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, you haven't been to my hometown, Mitchell. Of all 3,000 of them.
That's a city here.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all about perspective.
What I love about Newfoundland is, like, Yes. Well, Newfoundland, I loved how, especially on the West Coast, because we drove the entire West Coast, that people would just be like, oh, that looks like a nice plot of land, and then build a hut there. like you would just see like a little tiny house on the most bizarre plot of land and be like, really?
Seems like a weird place to build.
People are super nice out there, though.
Oh, gosh. I actually, I don't know if you guys are, there was a show called Wayward Atheist, and they've changed the name again, and sorry guys, that slipped my mind, stop fucking changing the name of your show.
Yeah, no, we had them on a couple times back in when we were still talking to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
seems like
they
some
are
insiders
friends.
I don't know either.
They're friends of mine, and I went to go. Ed's the only newfie I know, so we went to go visit Ed out there.
That's cool.
And the day it was raining, and we're on a motorcycle. If I had mentioned that, we're on a motorcycle, and it was pouring rain, so I couldn't use the GPS on my phone because it was pouring rain, and I'm out the motorcycle. So we're trying to find Ed's house, and I'm pulling the phone out like every couple of minutes, trying to give my husband, and I'm like yelling in his ear on the back of the bike, like, turn here. And it wasn't working, and we got lost. And so we got off the bike to kind of figure out where the fuck we were. And like 3 different vehicles pull over and are like, are you guys okay? And we're in, it's called, it's like a suburb of St. John's. So, I mean, it was a populated area. And they pull over. Are you guys okay? Yeah. And the third guy that pulled over, I was like, yeah, we're just a bit lost. And he goes, oh, where are you going? So I tell him the street name. And he starts to go, oh, will you go over? And he stops. And he's like, oh, just follow me. And he drove us to the street.
Nice.
Wow.
Like, damn.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you don't get much nicer than newfies. They kind of get a bum rap, actually.
Well, I think that's a fair statement. They get picked on a lot.
They do. But they're good natured about it, I gotta say. And when I got home, I went back and I watched a whole bunch of Air Farce episodes over the years with newfie skits. Yeah. I'm like, damn, these are way funnier now.
Yes.
I get half the jokes now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I definitely recommend. Newfoundland is incredibly beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Now, I haven't seen the Rockies yet, but so far, I mean, if you got mountains on your right and like immediately to your left is the ocean, that's pretty damn
pretty cool.
Impressive.
I was there this summer. We drove through the Rockies, and it's pretty phenomenal.
I agree.
It's pretty phenomenal.
I love mountains. Now I have been to the Carpathians, which are pretty impressive, and I had an opportunity to fly over the Swiss Alps. So I have aerial photos of the Swiss Alps. Yeah, I really would like to see the Rockies eventually. My husband, I'm like, let's take the bike out there, and he's like, that's a long way. I'm like, we did 7,000 kilometers this month.
We actually met a group of people that were I think they were from Winnipeg, and they were driving all the way from Winnipeg to the coast, I think.
Wow. Like
for the 150th. And they were driving their bikes, and it was pretty, I mean, driving in a vehicle is pretty intense. The Coca-Cola is nuts. But
well, from Toronto to the Rockies would be about 4,000 clicks.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a drive.
See, we did that in the last, the first 2 weeks of September. We did 7,000.
Well, there you go. Wow. You could do that in no time.
Just 2 days.
It's the problem is the long, boring stretch through Saskatchewan and into Alberta.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I can imagine.
But the people are nice, and there's some really good restaurants. I live in the shitty flat part. Come to my house. I'll feed you supper. I'm getting a little defensive. Quit shitting on Regina.
We have good weed.
Nobody's denying that.
No.
Not good alcohol.
The further west you go, the better the weed gets.
I hear that.
We're stepping stones.
I mean, even 20 years ago, it was like, oh yeah, the BC bud, man.
That's right.
So I've never liked the stuff, but I don't know. I guess I was just a wussy smoker.
Looking forward to when it's legal.
For a lot of people, I think it's a really good thing. I do. I mean, and the amount of money that the government can make is obscene. Not to mention, and I think they damn well better let private growers grow because good because that creates jobs too.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people that already know a shit ton about growing. You may as well let them do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There are people who've been growing for a long time already.
Yeah. I know. It's like, when you hear the premiers whining about it, it's like, okay, come on, people.
Yeah.
Everybody and their uncle has been smoking it, cooking it, and growing it for fucking decades. Like, people know their shit. Just let them do it.
Yeah.
Are other premiers whining about it, or is it just us?
Oh, they are.
Is it just Brad Wall?
I think there's several of them that are.
Is that right?
Yeah. The news stories that I've read have just said the premiers, think that it needs more time. It needs more assessments and better laws and whatever. And actually, there was an article on CBC News just the other day where they're saying now in Ontario, we have the liquor, what is it, the liquor something control board, LCBO we call it. And they have a monopoly on all alcohol in Ontario.
Right.
And they're making a grab to have sole control over all sales of weed. And it's pretty pathetic, I think. And they're like, oh, but safety. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. The people that are growing it know way more about it than you assholes.
I think more.
I mean, like,
people are the drinking and driving in our province is an issue right now. It's more of an issue than people that smoke weed and do shit.
Oh yeah,
and that's one of the things they're bitching about as well. We don't have a way to catch people who smoke and drive.
Those are the people that are just driving to 7-Eleven to get some more Cheetos.
And they're the ones that are driving like 20 clicks an hour.
And they're just as dangerous to the rest of us as the people doing 80 in town.
Well, they are, because people get frustrated and do stupid things to get around them.
And I know people that drive like fucking idiots when they're high that'll drive like 120 down Main Street. Not many, but there's some. And people that'll fall asleep driving.
Yeah.
Or forget they're driving.
Yeah.
I know people that do that and are super against
just
drugs.
green right out while they're driving.
I don't know if any of you folks are aware that in Regina you can just walk in and buy weed now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gumby was mentioning that at supper.
Yeah, I have a card.
Nice.
Yeah, because you need a card.
For your glaucoma?
Yeah.
That's medicinal.
IBS. CBC.
If you smoke too much weed, it can cause irritable bowel syndrome. You get a gastrointestinal stuff happening.
Is that
real?
Yeah, it's true.
Oh,
it's because of all the shit you eat from 7-Eleven after.
There might be, but there is. You can actually get guts issues.
I'm safe. I haven't smoked weed in like over 20 years.
I haven't smoked it in like over 20 hours.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You'll be beat by 19 hours, 364 days. 10
I don't mind eating it. I had a friend that used to cook with it. He would make butter.
Yeah.
And butter was fun. Because we used to eat it like in craft dinner and on popcorn.
That's becoming a really big thing now. Like the edibles part of things.
Yeah, but those kill people. It killed me.
At the university, they have an edibles cookbook.
Yeah.
They're selling.
Nice.
At the
Yes.
bookstore.
That's right.
And by when I said kill people, it was figuratively speaking.
Right now, anytime I hear them talking about edibles, all I can think of is that Joe Rogan bit when he's talking about it, because he's like, they have no set recipe for this stuff, so they just keep throwing weed into it.
Yes, yeah.
And he's like, so I had this gummy bear, and they didn't warn me how much I should eat. Turns out I could only eat the leg.
Oh, shit.
Well, and they also, Whoopi Goldberg, of all people, invested in a company that manufactures it for shoving into your vagina.
What's up with you and vaginas today?
To
And
help with, like,
She's
cramps
always
and
all
shit.
about the vagina.
No, the injury is like
Is she going
eating
into
vagina.
business with Gwyneth Paltrow?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Her with goop and make a thing. And
Well, I mean, she's going to, instead of vaporizing the vagina, she's going to just, put it into a vaporizer.
Get it high.
No, she's going to come out with a new egg that has different chambers in it. It's remote controlled, so depending what you want to release, you can release the goop or you can release the vapes. Or
They do sell marijuana lube already.
Lube?
What?
So that's a real thing. Yeah, my friend.
That
bought
is.
How does it feel?
It. She said she had some effects from it. I don't know if I believe her, but
Positive or negative?
like good things. Yeah. Anyways,
Weird. I'm intrigued, but I don't think I can go there.
marijuana lube.
yeah,
Marijuana.
I'd be worried it would make things numb. I don't know.
Yeah.
It might.
I'll have to numb the area. Numb, 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 numb.
There we go.
There's any devil eggs near that?
Well, we're running up on the hour. Do you want to give your stuff a plug here before we let you go?
Sure. So, Beyond the Trailer Park, we are live on YouTube on Monday nights at 7:30 p.m. And we do also appear in audio format on, Stitcher, Spreaker, iTunes, all those fun places. This week, I'll be back just in time to do the show. And I'm really excited. We're doing a panel to discuss the new transgender podcaster visibility initiative.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, we're Marissa McCool, Callie Wright, Ari Stillman, and Maddie Love are going to come on and talk to us about the initiative. So I'm excited about that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, they'd be on there for sure.
Absolutely. Actually, Ari, it'll be their first time on the show. We haven't had them on before. So
I only know Marissa and Kelly. They're both awesome.
Maddie, she is from a podcast in Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Actually, she does too. She's gonna kill me now because. But it's Atheist Talk is the main one, and they're actually on Real Radio in Minnesota, which I think is really cool. Yeah, like an actual radio station. So they do it during church time on Sunday mornings too.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's cool. And I'm sorry, Maddie, I can't remember the name of your podcast, but she does like a trans-centric podcast on her own as well. Atheist Talk. There's 4 of them, if I recall. I only talked to her and one of her co-hosts, Hertzy Hertz. But yeah, so she's a podcaster out of Minnesota.
Nice.
They're fun to talk to.
That is cool.
You almost sound Canadian, eh?
Just about.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I also do, as I say, Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. And that's on Sunday mornings at 12:05 a.m., also on YouTube. But you can find holycrapthevlogcast.com and beyondthetrailerpark.com as well to find all the links. And I'm go by Heretic Woman, so you can tweet me. If you look that up on Facebook, you'll find me under my actual name, but I've got the because they wouldn't let me call myself Heretic Woman. God damn it!
What a shame.
Oh, fuck you! It's not a real name. Actually, I have a friend in Toronto who legally changed his name to Peacefire. Do you know how many times he's had to reactivate his account?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He gets reported for being fake all the time, and it's his legal name. So.
I've had 3 different ways of using my real name that have been deleted by Facebook. So now I don't even use my name. I use my middle name, and I've had 2 years with this account.
That's all right.
Long history.
That's all right. Well, I actually, Mctaggart is my maiden name. So I actually have a vanilla Facebook under my married name that I've had longer. But, excuse me, that's got, the mother-in-law and family and all the religious people I used to work with, and, people who probably wouldn't appreciate it when I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ and fuck Islam and all those fun things I like to say. So, post my favorite meme of Jesus and Muhammad making out.
Yeah.
That so much.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can find me on all those places.
Cool.
Awesome.
I'll put a bunch of links in the show notes as well.
Great, thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
Have fun at the conference. I hope it goes well.
I Tell Josh I say hi.
Yeah, which one? Yeah, and I'm going to probably go out and party with some podcaster peoples now.
Right on.
Awesome.
Have fun.
I'm going to try Uber for the first time. I've never used Uber.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
You won't go back.
It'll be fun.
Sweet.
Cool.
That's what I hear. So, and this is also my first Airbnb, so I'm branching out.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit more
thank
affordable
you.
than hotels and cabs, eh?
Put it this way, the hotel, because the venue is like downtown Milwaukee, the hotel was like $175 American per night. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
This place is costing me $125 for 2 nights.
Right, yeah.
So I'm like, I can deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks very much for having me on. I appreciate it. It's always fun.
For sure.
Heck yeah.
And I think, it's nice to get the whole Canadian experience going.
Yeah, that's right.
There's not enough Canuck podcasters.
Nope.
I think we have one in each province now, though.
Oh, that's good.
So,
For sure.
Right
well, try not to get too bored out there in the prairies there, folks.
Yeah, we'll try. Thanks.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, let's do an ad break.
If you like what we're doing and want to help us keep the lights on, go become a patron at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. You can hear the bonus half hour that we record every episode and get a shout out when you support the show. Become a patron for just $1 an episode at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. Or you can support the show by ordering a t-shirt, mug or other gear from our store at caffeepress.ca/Brainstorm Podcast Gear. If you can't afford to become a patron or buy gear, then why not give us a rating or write a review on iTunes or Stitcher? Every rating makes it easier for people to find us. Thanks for your support.
We are given one life, full of billions of small and large decisions. To be somebody, to change, to be kind, to give hope, to become a better person, and to leave a lasting impact on this planet. It is a decision to be made every single day while your heart is still beating. We've made our decision. Absence of clothing, atheist and science-based apparel and merchandise, donating 50% of our profits to charity. Look good and feel good without God. Check us out at absenceofclothing.com and find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest for discount codes and other sweet swag.
Use the code BRAINSTORM at absenceofclothing.com and get 10% off. The Hardcore Skeptic Examines is a bi-monthly documentary-style podcast that includes interviews, research, and commentary from your host, Corey Johnston. That's me. As the host of the Brainstorm podcast, I've spent the last 3+ years trying to spread critical thinking and skepticism while having fun. This project is intended to look at some of those same topics covered by Brainstorm, but a bit deeper. With the long intervals between episodes and the long format, I'm hoping to provide good information that educates as well as entertains. Check out my Patreon for more details at www.patreon.com/hardcoreskeptic or follow my Twitter @hardcoreskeptic.
If your skepticism is socially conscious and doesn't take itself too seriously, you might like Life, the Universe, and Everything Else.
Also, I shouldn't have to say it, but vaccines don't cause autism, and Andrew Wakefield is human garbage.
As we've covered on, I feel like half of our shows.
We can just start every show with that statement. Andrew Wakefield is garbage. You are listening to Life, the Universe, and Everything Else.
No, it would have to be Andrew Wakefield is garbage. Fuck capitalism. Life, the Universe, and Everything Else.
Life, the Universe, and Everything Else. Available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and pretty much anywhere else.
We're back.
Welcome back.
Back again.
Check it, wreck it. Now let's begin. No?
No.
Party on, party people. Let me hear some noise.
Silence fills the room.
That's our podcast, guys. Thank you.
All right. So I guess we'll switch over to chatting with Idella about the Secular Student Alliance at the U of R here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So I guess a good place to start is, why don't you fill us in about you and your journey to atheism?
Well, it was a long journey. It took me about a year before I could actually call myself an atheist. But it all started, I grew up really fundamentalist Lutheran, like the people in the States Lutheran, like crazy. And then I made this friend who was an ex-Mormon, and he was an atheist, and I started talking to him, and I'd never really talked to an atheist before, like knowingly. And he kind of planted some doubts in my head, and then
those atheists.
Yeah, those atheists.
Filling you with knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And then I just kind of slowly started losing faith, I guess. I was more liberal Christian, and then I was like, well, why the Christian God? And then I started learning and researching more about other religions, and I realized, well, what makes me favor this one? And then I started going on YouTube. The Atheist Experience is probably the main that I started watching, and I went on online forums, and I talked to a lot of Christians and stuff on those, and none of them could convince me. I realized that even as a Christian, when I would listen to atheists talking, I always knew that they had the right points, but I didn't admit it. So then I just kind of, I remember the moment of realization I was laying in my bed, and it was like nighttime, and I couldn't sleep. And I opened my eyes, and I just had that feeling that God wasn't there anymore. Like, that comforting feeling was gone. Mm-hmm. And that really tore me apart. Like, that was just insane for me. And I didn't tell anybody, not even my friend who is an atheist. I didn't tell anybody for a while. And then I just slowly got more comfortable with it. And then I got into, this was when I was 17. I'm 19 now. Got into university. There were no secular groups. So then with the support of the Regina Center for Inquiry, I've been able to start this up, and it's been going really well.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
That's cool. Is there a lot of interest in a Secular Student Alliance?
I was surprised at how much interest there was, and I was expecting a lot more backlash, I guess. There's like a club fair at the university, so I started the club, and then I set up a table at the club fair, and I got some of my friends to help me with it. And there were like 5 Christian tables, like separate Christian groups at this club fair. Yeah. Wow. And actually I don't mean to say anything. I don't know if this is true or not, but we set up our table, and this one Christian group was on the other side of the room, and after we'd set up, they moved beside us. Oh, I'm not meaning to imply anything, but that's kind of suspicious. Yeah. Yeah. So I was expecting them to come up and be like, well, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You can't respect our religion. But we had a few kind of weirdos come up to us and, you know, say like the usual, like, this is a religion itself, as if like having a community is a religion. Right.
Yes,
which is
exactly.
False.
Oh my God.
There's one guy who came up to us and was like, are you pro-abortion? Well, no. Like, that's not even included on here. But other than that, there was nothing.
They just go right to that.
Yeah, I know.
One of the other 4 tables.
Yeah, exactly. There are tables, like,
we eat babies. We have
I was going to say, obviously we're not pro-abortion.
Yeah.
We're pro-baby.
Yeah.
So delicious.
Smacks.
But we had... we got these T-shirts to do like a draw. So if you put in your name and email, then you would get a draw for a T-shirt, like an atheist T-shirt. So I had like 40 names in that draw alone. Wow. And then some more people registered into the group online by themselves. So we have about 50 kind of registered members, but we've had 2 meetings so far, and roughly 20 to 25 people have showed up. So
that's a really good turnout.
No, freaking amazing.
I think I'm really happy with that.
What
like,
the hell are we doing wrong?
Apparently everything.
You should be happy with that.
Yeah, and I haven't, like, most people don't even know the group exists yet, really. I've had some posters that I've just kind of made, and the latest poster that I made was just kind of it says doubting God, and like, contact us. Like, there's no pressure. Your secret's safe with us. You can just if they need someone to talk to, because I know I was in that situation. Yeah. So if they want to be anonymous, like, whatever, and we have our own email, uofrfreethinkers@gmail.com.
Sweet.
Yeah,
nice.
so it can be as anonymous.
Well,
yeah, it can be as anonymous as they want, and if they want to meet with the group, then they can. If they just want to talk to me, then they can. And I'm not going to say any names. And even because I'm not out to my family yet, so our Facebook group is a secret group. So just so nobody else can see it.
That's cool.
That's totally awesome.
Have you been getting decent support and help from URSU?
Actually, the vice president of URSU is a member.
Good.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really happy with that. So, yeah, we actually have... I was surprised. I was kind of suspicious when I gave them, you know, my posters to hang up. Like, is this going to be hung up? Because there's a large Christian presence, obviously, and there's also a very large Muslim community at the university, which obviously I'm not against that, but... You know, you never know what kind of backlash you're going to get with with the secular group. People just take offense to it existing. But it's been going really well, so I couldn't be happier. Yeah,
right
very cool.
And I actually met a couple days ago in the hall. There was a table. One of the Christian groups had set up kind of an pro-life booth. So I stopped there and I talked to them, and an executive of the arts committee was there, and he was asking if they'd be interested in starting a debate, like an abortion debate. And I just happened to be standing there, so I just jumped into the conversation. I said, well, I happen to be president of the Secular Student Alliance. I think we can arrange for that. So that's something I think that will get us a lot of publicity, and I think that'll be that's a hot topic, especially for our age group.
Hot topic,
right? Eh?
You should keep us posted on that.
Yeah, I definitely will, and I'm going to contact the people right away, get that organized.
Maybe we can figure something out and get it recorded.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I don't know. I think it'd be a big deal. I think a lot of students would attend that. Because people are either passionate for it or passionate against it.
Yep.
Or they're in the middle, willing to be persuaded. So it's definitely a hot topic.
You know, when I was in university, they had an atheist versus a Christian like they had a pastor come in fighting a scientist.
Oh, really?
Not physically, of course.
A full throwdown.
That would have been awesome.
You lost me.
Yeah. So, that was an unbelievably booked event.
Wow.
Yeah, so I can definitely see this going through the roof.
I would love to do something like that. That's what my group members I was really happy that they're passionate like I am. I was, because a lot of secular students, they didn't grow up religious, so they don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
So I was really happy that they're passionate like I am, and they really want to have their voices shown at the university. So
well, if there's anything, if you need any help, let us know, and we'll make sure that Corey helps you out.
Yeah, definitely. No,
he only works part-time.
Right, Corey?
I couldn't do this without the support of like people like you guys. I really appreciate all of this. Like, a year ago, I really wanted to start something like this, but I had no idea, and I still don't really know what I'm doing, but I wouldn't be here without people like you guys, so I really appreciate it.
Don't worry, the not knowing what you're doing doesn't go away.
Yeah, you never really figure it out.
Just kind of wing it.
I think if you're really good and honest at what you do, you just kind of feel like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm really good at lying to people.
Maybe.
You know?
I'm kind of surprised that a secular student alliance hasn't, or student secular alliance hasn't been formed already.
Yeah, what's the order of the words?
It's secular. No, student secular. Sorry, because there's an unofficial secular student, so I couldn't take that name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I didn't want to make the name like Atheist Club because people. Not everyone identifies as an atheist. I wanted to include a lot of people. So
what's the stigma of identifying yourself as an atheist?
Yeah, see, that's another thing that kind of. Even there's some members of my group that they're like, well, I would never call myself an atheist. I'm an agnostic because I don't know. But atheists, they don't claim to know because that's just as unreasonable as claiming
to know.
Know that a God exists. So how I see it, like how most people would define agnostic, I would call that atheist. Just because you don't know there is no God. You're open to evidence.
Yeah.
Because we're open-minded. We don't want to be like the religious people, but we live our lives as if there is no God because there's no reason to believe that there is one.
No evidence shown.
Yeah. That's how I see it. But people who prefer to be called agnostic, whatever, that doesn't bother me.
So there really is no difference.
I don't really see a difference.
What do you think, Corey?
Well, it's just a matter of. It depends on who you ask, but agnostic seems to, in many circles, refer to knowledge, right? So whether you can know it or not means if you believe you don't have the knowledge, then you're agnostic. Whereas atheism or theism is a matter of belief, where if you don't believe something, then you're just that.
Yeah.
Well, and lots of, I could call myself an agnostic atheist, right?
Right. You don't know and you don't believe.
Yeah. So they're kind of.
Can I call myself like a Christian agnostic or a Christian atheist? I'm just messing with you.
Well, there's some people that would call themselves agnostic theists. I've heard that term being thrown around.
Yeah, I find it hard to imagine anybody taking on anything other than the agnostic label in that sense.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows for sure any of it.
Yeah, it's just as unreasonable to say I know 100% that there is no God.
Yeah.
That's just as unreasonable. So
I love when people identify themselves in a unique way. I'm like, are you right wing or left? And he's like, it's a tough, complicated question, but I'm right, left, up, down. At some point, it becomes like some Street Fighter combo. Like
up, down, left, right, A, select, start.
Yeah.
Straight up Konami code.
It's like, okay. Did you just perform a super army, or is that your political view? Yes.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Well, Christians are atheists. They just believe in one more God than the rest of us.
Yeah. They're atheists about all other gods.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Sam Harris said that he didn't really like the term because if you're Muslim, you're an atheist towards Christians.
Yeah.
If you're Christians, you're an atheist towards Muslims. Like, it doesn't stop.
I think to to play the other side a little bit. I think that a philosopher of religion would say that once you adopt a belief in any particular deity, then you are no longer an atheist in any sense.
No.
You may still lack belief in those other gods, but it doesn't really apply.
No,
But
is religion by definition also a dynamic definition?
sort of.
Like, it changes.
Yeah.
Right. Is it eventually going to be defined to like essentially what a cult is?
Well, that's a question that is still often discussed: is how big does a religion have to be to go from cult to religion?
A lot of people, the definition of religion and cult are like the same.
Yeah.
It depends which definition you're looking for. If you're looking for a legal definition or government accepted definition, or
people get caught up in all these definitions, and in the end, it doesn't really matter. What matters is talking to the person and getting them to explain their beliefs. That's how I see it.
Yep.
All religions are cults. Not all cults are religions.
Mm-hmm. I think, like we get lost
I make the
in
joke
the
it's about scale. You have one or two,
Yes.
you're crazy. Get a few hundred, that's a cult.
Yeah.
Get a few thousand, that's a religion.
Yeah.
You hear that, Dave? Our NBA franchises can get tax breaks now because we're a religion.
Dave's not there, man.
Dave left a while ago.
I just had to mute my speakers.
Why don't you mute your life?
No.
That's rude.
I could mute your mic. If you really want me.
Whatever.
Revenge of the sound.
So,
And there was much rejoicing. Yay.
I guess, what are some of the ideas you've had going forward for the SSA?
Well, our first meeting, I didn't know what I was doing, so I just kind of asked them what they wanted, and we came up with this whole long list. So, like I am, they're all really interested in learning about other religions too, because I think that's important to educate yourself on religions, and I do that
Absolutely.
a lot. So we have a whole list of like different religions they want to look at, and then we want like an evolution talk, different documentaries. Like our last meeting, we watched little snippets from Richard Dawkins' God Delusion talk. We watched that really famous Sam Harris, 9 million children die every year. That snippet from his debate with William Lane Craig.
Right.
And then we were going to the library is showing a movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called.
Losing Our Religion?
Yeah, Losing Our Religion.
Yeah, Leslie Mayer, I think, is the producer of it. I'm actually going to be interviewing her on Monday.
Wow. Okay.
So I just couldn't make it work for the podcast at any point. So I'll be interviewing her,
cool.
just airing it as an extra episode.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we were thinking of going to that kind of for our next meeting, all carpooling to that.
I suppose before we can... it's at the Regina Public Library, and it's Friday the 13th, Saturday the 14th, and Sunday and Monday.
Is that the downtown location?
Yeah.
I think so.
The film theater, that's where they do their movie thing. So many good movies.
For local listeners.
Yes.
If we have some of those.
I was surprised that like the library would put on something like that. I don't know. I guess I've just lived really sheltered. Like all the people I've known have been like church ladies and all that. Right. So I'm just surprised.
I think the RPL Film Theater, as a former sheltered person as well, there's a lot of opportunity to see small, like lesser known movies. I've seen some really weird movies there.
Is that right?
Yeah. One of which, Rub and Tug. Don McKellar is my favorite Canadian actor, writer, director guy. And he was in that movie, so that's why I went to see it.
Yeah, that's why.
It's not really anything like explicit that you can get off on anyways.
Challenge accepted.
I should have been here last time. I'm out of practice. But they had the Going Clear documentary there.
Oh,
the
nice.
Scientology documentary. And my husband and I went to see that. And they have a lot of interesting documentaries there. They had one about there was a gas explosion in Mumbai a really long time ago.
Yeah.
And there was a documentary all about that. I went to that, and it was really fascinating. And just really cool stuff. So, I mean, for people that, and they have a good variety of things, and not typical stuff.
Lots of local businesses or government groups will gladly give you airtime or playtime for stuff. I was actually just talking to somebody that's worked for Access for the last 35 years, and because we have some mutual friends who were in it, like some Weyburn people that worked for Access.
Right.
And she said if you ever have an idea for a show that can be put together and produced in town, you always run it by them, and they'll probably do something with you. So you can always look at that as
that's good to know.
Avenue.
If they make a show on Access about Lego, they did. They had I think it was a 10-episode run, I think.
Nice.
Legos.
Yeah, they had a contest, various contests.
Well, they have to put in so much local content, right?
Yep.
So, and if you're producing and doing all the work and using their equipment, it doesn't cost them anything.
Right.
You don't get any revenue for it, but
No, you're not getting paid. You're just doing it out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah, that's good when people do that. Not much around like that anymore.
But you're kind of building a name for yourself in the community. So
Sure. Yep.
Exactly.
You're getting benefits that way.
Yeah. There's another podcast, a local podcast I heard about called The Story of You, I think. And they interview local people.
Nice.
And it seems like they're doing good things.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, there's always an opportunity to get your name out there.
Cool. So I guess what else do we want to ask about the student secular group or secular student group? The group of students who are secular.
Do you guys have some any way of getting funded through the school at all?
That's one thing I'm not entirely sure about. I know URSU will do some funding. Like for this debate, the arts executive guy that was there said that URSU would give funding for that. I think it's pretty limited for groups like mine, just because there's so many clubs.
Yeah.
It's different if you're an official like association, right? But there's probably like 100 or so clubs because anyone can make them. You just need 20 members and 3 executives, and you essentially will have a club on campus.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why the funding would be really limited. So right now it's been me and CFI a little bit. So
I'm just curious, like honestly curious. What is the debate for pro-life? Because to me, a lot of people say, respect the idea between pro-choice and pro-life and people's opinion. But pro-life to me always was you're disregarding an opinion of a sex entirely and it's oppressive in its nature. So, like, my question is, how can that debate even be entertaining if somebody goes out there and saying we're pro-life, but you are saying that you're pro-choice doesn't mean you have to be pro, abortion.
Abortion, yeah.
Yeah, it means you're giving a choice. You're giving women a choice to do with their body, versus pro-life means you're not. Like, how are they going to argue that? I'm just trying to play a devil's advocate.
There's been. I'm honestly, to be honest, I personally am a little bit tired of debating the abortion. I was
that's what I'm getting at. Like,
yeah,
like I'd be up there and thinking like, how does this make any sense? And I feel like the crowd would just, again, be split 50-50s. People who are not willing to... You have half the crowd not willing to change their beliefs. The other half who are wanting to open in their mind, but realistically they know most of this already.
Yeah. Personally,
I think pro-life is the wrong term to use. I think pro-life is a misnomer because they preach pro-life, but what they're preaching is pro-birth.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck about the mother.
Yeah.
As that mother
or the kid once it's born.
Or the kid once it's born. As long as that kid is born. They don't care about the potential issues with welfare, with a shitty family or whatever. If
Once again, to quote George Carlin, if you're pre-born, you're fine. If you're preschool, you're fucked.
Exactly.
There was an episode of Dogma Debate where David Smalley had a secular person who tried to present a case for the pro-life side of things, because without religion, it's really tough.
Exactly.
But there are some people who are secular who feel that they have a case for this, and I think that it's not convincing to me, but it's interesting to listen to. I suppose if somebody was looking for something, a resource.
So my question,
the problem with the entire fight. First off, it should have ended fucking 50 years ago.
Thank you.
If you don't want to get an abortion, don't get an abortion.
Yeah.
But the problem is the people that are
breast implants don't get fucking.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it'd be funny if everybody had to get breast implants.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah. There'll be a lot more people.
The people that are pro-choice don't have an agenda to push. The people that are pro-life do. The people that are anti-abortion have an agenda.
Yeah.
And they will never let go. And that's where the problem is. It's not that the debate isn't over.
That's
it is.
The
debate's been over for forever.
They can't let go.
Exactly. But there is no debate. There is no.
Yeah.
It's gone to court. It's done.
Right.
But pro-lifers, anti-abortionists, fucking right-wing Christians will never let it go.
But the thing is, even when I was a fundamentalist or whatever, and I actually believed in all that, I didn't think that abortion should be illegal. I still thought that it should be an option because this is a free country. So technically I was pro-choice then, even though personally I thought abortion was immoral at the time. So I don't know. That's where I think it's kind of silly. The argument is just restating the same points. They're not making any progress at all. So that's why I'm personally kind of tired of it. But when I was heard of this opportunity, I thought that's a good opportunity that I should take, and that could lead to other debates too.
Yeah, so I think it's valuable because you probably, because you're not, the people in the audience may be convinced. You might convince one person, you might convince 5 people.
It's what you were saying actually hits on a lot of the problems we have in a lot of different aspects of every argument we have. Corey and I had a 3 a.m. conversation about this exact thing like 2 weeks ago. And it's anytime you have a position, there's actually 2 positions to have that every person has. You have your personal position where you were right-wing fundamentalists and you didn't believe in abortion and you thought it was wrong. That was your personal view of your own ideals. But the overview of the community and what's allowed by the community or by the government or by your environment is different, right? You're okay with people having the choice, and that's the bigger view. And then a lot of people fight against the bigger view or the bigger communal argument with their own personal views.
Yeah.
And it's 2 different arguments and 2 different conversations, and they always get intermixed, and that's where a lot of problems happen.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. What I'm more passionate about and what I would be more interested in debating is indoctrination and that.
Yes.
The idea of should you be able to raise your child under these beliefs? Knowing how
that's a great debate.
Yeah, see, I've written essays about this and
see.
Yeah, that's what I would be. It's something like that where you can actually make progress.
Thank you.
Is what I would be interested in doing. But I think this is a good starting point because this is a popular thing. This will get us if it happens, which I really hope it does, this will get us some attention. Even if it's not necessarily positive, I still think the attention, like to say, we're here, we are present. Yeah.
Make a strong statement.
Yeah, that's my goal. So I'm really hopeful that something will work out.
I would suggest reaching out to small independent businesses. Like, there's a place that does silk screening and stuff like that. And just tell them what your group is and see if they would donate some clothes if they can put their logo on it or something.
Yeah, I should definitely look into that.
That's easy to do. It's just you just have to come up with a system of approaching these places. Lifetime in sales. So write it out once or twice, and then just keep perfecting your pitch for these places. And then all you really have to do is change the name of the business that you're talking to and use the same email, don't use an email, go in person. Right?
Yeah, that's really good advice, actually. If anyone has any advice, please let me know. I never even thought about doing something like that.
The worst they can say is no.
Exactly. I'm always
religious.
Yeah. See, I'm always afraid because I grew up knowing almost all religious people, so I'm always afraid. Even when I write an essay and I have some kind of hint of atheism, for lack of a better term, I'm always afraid that the person is going to be religious
and
it's
judge
going
you.
Or give me a bad mark. Or in this, I guess in this case, it's not so bad because they'll just say no. But
this is a generalization, but atheists know what skeptic. Atheists know what it means when you say secular. A lot of religious people don't.
Yeah. Yes. Well, not even all atheists. Like, a lot of people, they're like, well, what is the secular alliance? I've been asked that so many times. So I'm I don't know if I regret the name, but I guess it's good in a way that it isn't so obvious, because then we would get more backlash.
Yeah, like you say, if you called it Atheist Club, that's
somebody that's going down the rabbit hole like you did a couple years ago would come across the term secular and understand what it means and learn what it means, and then.
Well, especially if they're putting up those signs. You can't be that blunt, though.
You can't be the fuck you God club.
God's an asshole. Come hang out with us.
God, I hate religious people club.
Yes.
So is it like calling it a student skeptics club? That wouldn't make sense?
Yes. Yeah, I was thinking after I made the name, I was thinking maybe skeptics would have been a better.
Two different things, though.
But then, then you also get, that might be like conspiracy theorists. You might get those kind of people.
No, those aren't skeptics.
Yeah.
Those are idiots.
They think they're skeptics.
Yes.
They think so.
Yeah, but like
climate change deniers and
chemtrails.
Or 9/11 didn't exist.
That's right.
Those are number one people. It's like
flat earthers.
Yeah. You think that's bad? People think with the hurricanes and all, the government creates the weather.
Yeah, it's hard.
I watched a video. I fucking almost went down the rabbit hole with somebody about that shit.
People think Pakistan's in India.
And on that note, is there anywhere that people can find more information about?
You can email me at uofrfreethinkers@gmail.com.
uofrfreethinkers@gmail.com.
The Facebook group is private, so if you want to join, you'd have to add one of the members, and we'd have to add you. So I just suggest that email. I check it a lot, and it'll be direct contact with me. Right now, it's just me who has the contact or the login information for that.
Cool. Sounds good. So I guess with that, we'll go to a music break. For live listeners and patrons, you can enjoy the next few minutes, and then we'll be back. For regular feed subscribers, this is where we'll end the Skeptic Studio. Remember to check out the Shift to Reason Radio next week to hear listener feedback, new patrons, and iTunes reviews. The music this week, We Know Where You Fucking Live by Marilyn Manson. Sick Like Me by In This Moment, and Unfuck the World by Prophets of Rage.
Good night, everyone.
I think that's
Thanks for
everything.
listening.
You can check out the show notes at thebrainstormpodcast.com and our website, brainstormblog.net. Thanks to our financial supporters, Aaron, Daryl, Destin. Oh, no. Aaron, Daryl, Destin Sucks, Lachlan, Lisa, Magnus. That's actually Alden. Michael, Nathan, Positively Skeptical, Rob, Stephanie, and Will. If you want to join their ranks and help the show grow, then you can do that at patreon.com/Brainstorm Podcast. Join us live every
Alden's
second
Magnus?
week. No, Alden is Destin Sucks.
Oh, okay. That's
yes.
Fuck you, Alden.
You can join us live every second week when we broadcast live on Spreaker. You can find us at Spreaker.com/user/Brainstorm Podcast. Next guest is Jonathan Ariola for the TDTF Pod. Thanks, Deborah, for joining us. You can find out more about her podcast at Spreaker.com/show/beyond-the-trailer-park-AOA or by Googling Beyond the Trailer Park Podcast. I'll put a link to her YouTube as well in the show notes. Thank you, Idella, for coming on the show.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'll add the email to the SSA at the U of R in our show notes. Thanks to Dave for our intro music. Thanks to Alex Kepper-Murdoch for doing the voiceover for the intro and some of our ads. Thanks to Jason Camo for our outro music. You can find his stuff at loststateofmind.com. All music played is either with permission or under the SOCAN license to play. For more information on SOCAN, you can check out the music license info page on our website, brainstormblog.net. Live listeners, you can go to the after show at mixler.com/the-brainstorm-podcast and listen to the bonus content before it goes to patron only. Sometimes the after show is the best content we do.
Sometimes.
So if you want to listen to it without having to be a patron, then stay tuned or go over to mixler.com, and check it out. Thanks for listening, and remember, the truth matters.
This is an opinion-based podcast. Each person on the podcast is responsible for their own opinions, and those opinions don't necessarily reflect the views of the rest of the panel. Any guests or anyone associated with the people on the podcast, such as spouses, partners, children, other family members, friends, or employers. No one person speaks for the podcast with the possible exception of Corey, and he doesn't speak for anyone else on the show. The Brainstorm podcast does not represent the views of our sponsors.
We just wanted to say thanks to everyone who listens to us, shares the show, gives us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher, or supports us through Patreon and Gumroad. We don't have a lot of interactions with our listeners, but what we have had proves that we attract some of the best people around. Smart, kind, and cool. An audience truly worthy of the titles hardcore and woo-free. Thanks for helping us make the world a smarter place.